Okay, so this week we are going to talk about what you're going to need to know when creating your virtual assistant career portfolio. So here's a bit of what we're going to talk about. So a virtual assistant's career portfolio's primary purpose is not actually about job hunting, which is a common misconception. So what it does is it helps to demonstrate that you've taken your chosen career seriously. It shows that you're proactive, driven, and know how to elevate your leader at the company through efficient work. So a career portfolio for a virtual assistant showcases both your personal and unique brands while highlighting all that you've accomplished. It displays your vital professional goals and serves as a high-level granular view of the contributions that you've made and your overall successes as a leader. So an exceptional VA career portfolio really captures your evolving skill levels, career enhancements, development endeavors, professional recognition, and notable accomplishments. So your virtual assistant career portfolio, again, its primary purpose is not about job hunting. You really want to show the potential employer or your potential client that you're proactive, you're driven, you take your career seriously, just like I said before. So here's a couple things that you really need to know when creating your career portfolio. So it really should leave an impression and have a wow factor. So never consider your portfolio finished. You should constantly be updating your portfolio so that it grows with you. Keep a backup. So try and maintain multiple copies of it, including a hard drive and a copy on a USB. Make sure the portfolio showcases who you are as a professional. So it should really introduce and explain your brand and tell your story, because that story part is really essential. And let it be a catalyst for change, because leaders in the industry really take notice of forward-thinking virtual assistants. So another thing you can do is to ask for feedback on your portfolio from several people in your network with whom you regularly interact with. Having other people in the industry whose opinions you really value go over your work can really be beneficial. So know your strengths and use them. Know where your gaps are, work on them. Always try and be improving and expanding your skill set, or making your skill set more advanced if you decided just to stick to a certain niche. But again, by sticking to a certain niche or being a generalist, it kind of pigeonholes the kind of work that you're going to be able to get after graduation. So while it is totally okay and some virtual assistants do it, personally, I suggest avoiding excelling in only one specific area of work. Just because in general, virtual assistants really should be the best multitaskers. So pigeonholing to one expertise really doesn't lead by example that you focus on doing more than one thing well, that you actually take the time to broaden your professional skills. And lastly, commit to lifelong learning. Try and do everything you can to stay current, especially with technology. Continue to learn and grow in your position. All right, so before we get into the cover letter and resume tips, I just want to talk a little bit more about your portfolio, and just to kind of say that it can really help you continue to grow by serving as a marker for where you are now while allowing you to focus on your future goals. And it kind of helps showcasing how far you've come over that time. All right, so getting into the cover letter and resume tips. So if your goal is getting a new job as a virtual assistant, some of the things you may be wondering are how to create a magnificent resume and an impressive cover letter. It's also a part of your course later on. So one of the things you really need to ensure is that you highlight your skills. So make sure your resume is formatted correctly and that it's legible. Use a professional font. Sorry, going back to the legible part, that can be doing things like including bolding of font, bullet points, etc., trying to make sure the information stands out. Use a professional font. Try not to get too fancy with it. Employers generally don't like that. Sometimes some fonts are extremely hard to read. A simple Google search actually of which fonts are better for reading on a digital screen or for print, etc., will help give you a list of certain fonts to stick to. All right. So one of the biggest things is double checking your work to make sure you don't have any grammar or spelling errors. This is a really big thing because for virtual assistants, accuracy is imperative. For example, in law, when it comes to written laws or bylaws, if there's a spelling mistake in it, for example, the law is, you actually can't uphold it. It's considered null and void until it's reissued with proper spelling. So again, little things like that are extremely important because you don't want your spelling mistake or your grammar error or your punctuation error to be the reason why all of a sudden you've lost a client or why the person you're working for has lost a client because of the work that you turned in. Another important thing to do is to review the job descriptions and try and pick out the keywords that you find in there and include those skills that align with your role. Try and help make it easy for them to see that you're the best fit. So another thing, as always, highlight your experience and try to use clear and concise language. Using industry terms is always a great thing. And now when it comes to your cover letter. So again, reviewing the job description carefully and including keywords or phrases that are used in the posting. So you can get a little more into detail with it on your cover letter than on your resume. So again, with the cover letter, try and spend the time that's needed to craft a really well-written, customized, and thoughtful cover letter. Because people who are interviewing you, they're very well trained. They are going to know when it's just a generalized cover letter that's been copy and pasted. And that doesn't really show enthusiasm for the role. So for the cover letter, try and use a conversational tone while keeping the content itself professional. You always want to back up with examples from work experience. Try to avoid generic greetings. And really explain why you're interested in the position while conveying that you understand what the company does. Try and use as much you language as you do I language because while you also want this position, they also need to see that you are the best fit for the position. So being able to envision yourself at the company and really sell what you can do for them will go a long way. And again, you do this by emphasizing your skills, the applicable skills, your experience, and what you have to offer. For example, if you're a great people person, that's something to definitely put on there. You're going to be interacting with an array of people. So being a people person is great. Personable, however you want to word it. And one of the biggest things is remembering to look over your work after you've exported it to a PDF. Even if you're just editing an image and you export it to PNG or JPEG, always double click on the exported file and make sure that everything exported correctly and there's nothing that accidentally got dropped down a line or anything like that that you have to go back in and fix. Again, accuracy. All right, so now we're going to get into the VA professional skills that stand out. So your career portfolio really needs to contain a digital element. The goal is still the same. Represent your professional brand while telling the story of your career and your accomplishments. And a digital portfolio like the one you're able to create using Mindtap can actually help you stand out from other applicants. The one nice thing about a digital portfolio is that it's always available to view. So if you take the time to set it up correctly, you can be constantly promoting your professional brand. The internet actually offers a variety of platforms that you can use to promote yourself. Some of the options charge a fee, some of them are free. So your best bet is to research your top choices. Again, research is key. All right. So now we've got two other options. So while in this course, we're going to focus on creating your portfolio using the Mindtap option. Once you graduate, if you feel like your skills have progressed past the Mindtap portfolio and you really want to showcase them a little bit more, here are a couple options that you have. So you can link directly to your work from other sites. You can use, what's the word I'm thinking of? Squarespace. Thank you. Sorry. You could use Squarespace, for example, as a platform for relatively easy website creation. They also have a built-in option that gets you a domain. I believe it's $200 up front for the year or something like that. Either way, there's a bunch of different options out there. Through the course, we are going to focus on the Mindtap option, but again, you're always willing to grow your skill set. So the nice thing about this is that it can actually help you to showcase your writing skills, which again is a huge part of being a VA. And it also helps you to show off your design and website management abilities. So again, once you progress past Mindtap, you'll be able to really get into different tips and tricks for how to make your website work for you. And again, there is support after you graduate. So if you ever have any questions or want me to take a look at it or anything, shoot me an email, give me a phone call. I'll get back to you. I'm very excited about this because I think everybody should have one. It's extremely beneficial. Another great place that you can use it is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn as a platform honestly has become almost a necessity for business professionals to use. Not only is it a reputable site, but it's actually a really great space to house testimonials of your work. And it can also serve as your online resume. And provides unparalleled access if you're job hunting. So LinkedIn honestly is a platform. There's a variety of ways that you can use it. And if you're looking for a more streamlined process for creating a digital portfolio, LinkedIn really is the way to go. And you can add the link to your resume too. It's great. It could be your website. Another alternate option is Slideshare or Prezi. So these websites offer PowerPoint style presentations. So you can actually use these to create presentations that allows you to showcase your skills for creation and execution. And it interfaces really well with other sites such as LinkedIn. So you can create on Slideshare, link it to your LinkedIn, and really kind of give your portfolio an all-round focus. This is huge. So as with any professional endeavor, you must be willing to accept responsibility for your content. Do not copy and paste somebody else's work. That's considered plagiarism. Always cite your sources. If you're not going to actually cite your sources in your blog post, have a Word document handy. Always keep your sources in there. You always want to have a copy of your notes. Personally, for practice, I keep copies of everything that I do for a minimum of 3 years, just because libel is such a huge thing in the industry. In many industries, actually, now. All right. So, in conclusion, a website, it's really important to be careful because not only can they change their terms of use a moment's notice, but they can also shut down completely, which means you could lose your portfolio and all the work you put into it, which is why LinkedIn is so great because it's such a reputable site. Nobody can really see LinkedIn going down. Everybody uses it daily. If LinkedIn ended up going down, I don't know what would happen. So again, it's extremely important, even if you use LinkedIn, to update all versions of your portfolio 3 to 4 times a year when you aren't job hunting, and more frequently when you are. So you can do it quarterly, you can do it 3 times a year. Again, it's totally up to you. But remember, it's your responsibility to keep a watchful eye on your professional brand. So if you have specific hashtags or anything like that, it's always a good idea just to click on them every once in a while and make sure all the content that's associated with it is content you want associated with your brand. All right, well, that brings me to the end of our presentation.